Good evening and welcome to the Town Board meeting of October 21st, 2025. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence as we keep in our heart and prayers our first responders, our military, and those that are fighting for our freedoms and our safety. Thank you. We'll start with introductions to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Town Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Deputy Supervisor.
Patrick Murphy, Councilman.
Susan Siegel, Councilwoman.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
All right. I'm going to actually start with reports from town officials. Lou, why don't you start?
Great. So we had a wonderful, Pat, I won't plug it, but I just want to say that we had a wonderful ribbon cutting. I'll have Pat describe the rest of it. Today at the library, it was quite inspirational. We heard that a family donated some funds, which I thought was incredible. They actually have a plaque on a leaf, and after I left, I was able to tell them that each leaf can lead to a seed, and each seed grows new experiences here in Yorktown, and it was really beautiful. And also, I just want to make a statement on the record that I wanted to take a moment to clarify what was discussed yesterday at the Planning Board. The meeting took place on October 20th regarding the AMS project. I believe there was a misinterpretation of the recreational fee and the requirements during that discussion. The recreation facility proposed by AMS is private. It's for the residents at the development, which means it doesn't qualify for any exemption under our town code. As you all know, we've been discussing this rec fee. Our town board and our legal counsel have both reviewed the law, and it's clear that AMS is required to pay the full recreation fee. And at this point, it's out for referral. So I believe that the section was read incorrectly and would hope we could pause this action under the law referrals. Once they come back, we can have another open discussion about it. And once that's finalized, we can revisit this matter. But my position is firm. I do believe that the rec fee still applies in that project. I think it's a door fee. I think the recreation that's there is strictly for them. It does not support the rest of the community. And in order to authorize that, we need a clarity around the language that's in our law that's right now out for referral. So once we have that, we will create a discussion board around it. And I just wanted to let you guys all know.
Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
Sergio?
Pat, you want to go?
Sure. Well, it's good to be back. And I just went over to the ribbon cutting for the modernization of the Children's Center over in the library. They did a great job. And the Sussmans were very, very generous to donate, some of the funds for that. And Brian and Marianne did a great job. And other things happen in the library. They have the haunted house that goes this Friday through Sunday. And they're looking for volunteers for the high school. So anybody out there, any high school kids need volunteer hours, please get in touch with the library. They could use the help. And Colin, which is one of the guys that works there, he did a whole redesign. So if you went last year, you're going to see a total different haunted house. So everybody go out there and check out the haunted house. They do an unbelievable job. So, and the last thing on the library is they have one-on-one counseling for Medicare support. So you just go online and you book a time, and you can have one-on-one support to get better educated in the Medicare and how it works. So that's it.
Thank you.
Susan?
I'll let Ed or Sergio go first.
Susan, go on, please.
Go ahead.
All right. Just to follow up on what Luciana said on the recreation fee at the last night's planning board meeting, they did approve the resolution for the I'm sorry, usually you tell me I speak too loud. at last night's planning board meeting, just as the follow-up on what Luciana said, the planning board did approve the site plan for the AMS development, and in the resolution, they will be paying $225,000 towards the recreation fee. If the recreation fee, which is for multifamily units, is $4,000 per unit, that would have been $720,000. But because they're having all of those, the on-site recreation, that was the accommodation. You'll see later in the agenda that the town board is planning to hold a public hearing on November 18th dealing with the recreation law, with amendments to that, and I'll have some more to say about that revised law. I just want to remind everyone that early voting starts this Saturday, October 25th. It lasts for a week until Sunday. Obviously, the election is Tuesday, November 4th. For those who may not know, we have a local election, and we're electing a supervisor, 2 council people, and a highway superintendent, county legislators, and also county executive. What? Did I miss anyone?
Town judge.
Oh, and a town judge. Sorry about that. There's no contest. There's no contest for the town judge or for the highway superintendent, but all of the other spots are elected. Because of a law that the New York State Legislature passed maybe a year or so ago, changing the time when local elections are held, that law was contested. The Court of Appeals, which is New York's highest court, ruled just last week that when the election for supervisor this year, instead of it being a normal 2-year term, will only be a 1-year term. And the council positions will be 3 years instead of 4 years. We're getting back so that local elections will be in even years, not odd years. And that's been decided by the court. But please, I urge everyone to go vote. Local elections are important. Local elections are what determines, and this board determines your quality of life. The traffic, your roads, the garbage, your water and sewer, the parks, the library that has been talked about today. Everything that's important to our daily life is decided by the 5 people on this board. So please go out and vote. We're still waiting for the draft on the grant application for the DRI, the revitalization program. Do you have curious to know, we were supposed to have a draft last week. It didn't come in yet. The final application is due next month, but I would like this board to have a review and have a public discussion about what public and private projects are in that. I'm very concerned about that. I also would like an update on, at the last meeting, we had an interesting presentation by Phil Greeley, who's the traffic consultant for the Underhill Farms development, and he was explaining and going through the improvements that are taking place right now at the 118 Underhill intersection. I would like some clarification as to who is paying for his time. Unless he was doing it pro bono, was he either paid by the developer, Underhill Farms, or was the town paying for his being here? And then finally, I do have a statement that I want to read. And I have some comments about the town-owned parcel off Strawberry Road. That was the subject of yesterday's online article in Substack.com. The parcel was once part of the Lady Cliff Academy. Many people will know it by that name. And it's between the George Washington School and the new homes known as Fieldstone Manor. But before I read my statement, I'm going to ask my colleagues to extend me the courtesy that's been afforded to my other colleagues and not interrupt me until I'm finished. Of course, as always, I welcome your comments after I finish mine. In 2016, the Planning Board approved a 23-unit subdivision that became known as Fieldstone Manor. As part of the approved plan, and to fulfill the subdivision's recreation requirement, the developer was supposed to construct 3 tennis courts and 1 basketball court for public use on the 8.9-acre parcel that would be deeded to the town. He was also required to set aside 2 units for affordable housing. Fast forward to 2019, when the land for the future recreation facilities was deeded to the town, even though the developer hadn't started construction. In 2024, shortly after I joined the town board, I learned that the parcel's former owner was conducting a commercial parking operation on the town-owned land. And although I didn't know it at the time, it turns out that the developer was collecting rent for the right to park on town-owned land. When I visited the site, I saw a collection of vehicles, a tractor-trailer, campers, construction equipment, and an assortment of storage containers. And in December of 2024, I sent board members photos of what I had seen and repeatedly raised questions about the issue, raised them in executive session about what we were going to do about this illegal use of town property. These discussions were done in executive session because they involved legal advice from the town attorney, and I should add there are no minutes of those meetings. After much back and forth, including efforts to invalidate the deed, in March of 2024, the board acknowledged that it owned the land, and because it was concerned about the town's liability if anything happened on the site, the board authorized the supervisor to sign an indemnification agreement with the previous owner, the party who was conducting the commercial parking operation. The agreement, in effect, licensed the developer to continue his commercial parking operation on town property, a use that was not allowed in a residentially zoned site. During the same period, and after consultation with the Recreation Commission, the town board decided that the town no longer needed the recreation facilities, basically because by that time Granite Knolls had been built, and that the requirement that was part of the 2016 resolution, and that the town should sell the parcel. The board also decided that the most logical buyer would be the former owner, who could extend his existing subdivision onto the newly acquired parcel. For months, I kept raising the issue of what we were doing to sell the property, and eventually the board decided to hire an appraiser in the hopes of moving the process forward. And to expedite the process, the board voted last week to advertise an RFP for real estate broker and auction services to facilitate the sale. That brings me to the present and the Substack article written by David McKay Wilson, a former Journal News investigative reporter. Mr. Wilson had been following the Fieldstone Manor development since 2023, when he wrote an article about the illegal use of the property for private events and parties. And on a recent return visit, he saw the parking operation and decided to look into the issue, which led him to call me, probably last Wednesday or Thursday, because he knew of my previous interest in the parcel. That's when I told him about the March indemnification agreement and the town's plan to sell the property, as both actions had been taken at public meetings. But I was totally taken by surprise when he called me on Friday to tell me that in response to his emailed questions to Supervisor Lachterman and Councilman Esposito, a representative from Thompson & Bender, the town's public relations firm, told him about the town's directive to the developer that he had until October 22nd, that's tomorrow, to remove everything from the site or be subject to a trespassing charge. I was surprised because as recently as last week, the town board had never discussed the vacate option. I have no problem with the vacate order. What I am concerned about, though, is that the supervisor acted either on his own or only after discussing the vacate option with some but not all board members, as well as the timing of the vacate order, as it apparently was issued after Supervisor Lachterman knew that Mr. Wilson was doing a story about the illegal parking operation. But that's the past. The continued illegal use of the town property has not been resolved, and going forward, these are my continuing concerns. What will the supervisor do if some of the illegally parked vehicles and other items remain on the property after tomorrow's deadline? How will the town enforce its no trespassing directive? Will it take another 11 months to resolve the issue? When will the developer return to the planning board with a revised plan for meeting the town's recreation requirements? And if the developer doesn't want to buy the land, how soon will the town list the property with a real estate broker or auction service so the property can go back on the tax roll? Because now when it's town property, we're not paying taxes on it. Those are facts. That's not my opinion. There are facts, and I just wanted to explain this to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Sergio?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the fun things in the town. So the Yorktown High School varsity field hockey team had their senior night Congratulations to Gabby Capola, Serena Zimmerman, Riley Grieve, and Adriana Torrieri. They are, this is their senior year, and congratulations to them. I know my son just graduated last year, and I kind of missed the high school and the whole 5 o'clock in the morning, whether or not they're going to have a delayed opening or not. Never thought I'd miss that call, but I do. I also took in a volleyball game with the Yorktown High School varsity team. Very interesting. It takes place in the gym. Great team that we have, and the school spirit's just great. You know, just incredible. I love watching these kids just excel. I think my most favorite level of sports isn't pro, and it isn't college. It's high school, because it's still, you know, clean and pure, and there's not all this money being thrown at these kids, and so it's great to watch. I want to give a big shout out to John Goodwin. He is in Troop 164. He is working on his Eagle, and I visited him at Muscoot. There'll be a post up about him. I interviewed him. He's building a stage that's going to be 8 by 10, and he's going to be putting it in Muscoot, more toward where the woods are, because he said that he wanted to bring people into nature and have them witness how wonderful nature really is. So he's building a stage where they can have events and stuff like that. He built it in 2 pieces. He had a whole bunch of help with his fellow members and troop members, and big shout out to him. I look forward to him achieving his Eagle. My dad turned 90 yesterday, so happy birthday, Pop. The Lions had a great Halloween parade. There were so many kids out there, so many costumes. Just a great event for the town, and I love to see the town spirit come alive, especially during Halloween. Halloween's one of my most favorite holidays. I want to give a big shout out to Joe Manna, who's in Troop 173. He did receive his Eagle last week. And he's a really good kid.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him as well. I'm going to keep my comments short. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Sergio. And actually, we received an email today from someone who's been coming to the Lions parade with their family for years, and how much it meant to them. So, as a Lion, longer than I've been on the board, I really appreciate all the work that they do. All right, so I have a couple things. There's been a question about the New York State Department of Transportation work that's going to be being done on Route 100. The big question was what happens to Muscoot Farm, and are people going to be able to get there? Will they have to close for the season? But there are also some houses that are down that way as well, some private roads. So the work will be culvert repairs and replacements, which will take out bridges over the waterways there. So they will have to close the road for traffic, so there'll be no through traffic, especially southbound. But there will be access to the farm and to the streets coming off of Route 35 and heading south. So that access will still be there, and you'll have to make that adjustment. I'll post a map that shows some of that, but I know it's going to be really hard to see it. But I did ask them for an update and a marked up map, and we have received that.
So you can't come off Mosman, you have to go 35.
To get to Muscoot,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
But if you're going
clarify
south, you could come down Mosman, or you could come down 118 and get on that way.
How long is that expected to take?
They said December 1st. So we shall see. Veterans Day Parade is the 9th this year, the Sunday prior to Veterans Day. 2 p.m. step-off from Lakeland High School. If you know of any veteran organization, any scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Scouts of America, all welcome to march, and community organizations as well. It's a great parade. The nicest thing is they really don't let many people talk, so it's very quick when you finish up at the end. And of course, the Yorktown Lions do their complimentary hot dogs for the veterans and the participants of the parade, and they do that in the Lakeland Administration lot. On Veterans Day itself, our VFW post usually does a remembrance, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, formerly Armistice Day, which is now called Veterans Day. And that is at the Veterans Memorial Circle, which is directly behind us by the skate park. So it's a wonderful, wonderful tribute to those that have served our country.
What time's that?
That's 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Thanks.
Yep.
11.
And then I'll address a little bit about, Susan, what you spoke about. A lot of your facts are definitely there. 2016 was the Catucci was in front, Bill Catucci was in front of us in front of the town and planning for the Strawberry Road. There was new recreational space. Our rec commission at that time even, and now even more so, have been very much against adding extra pocket parks, since we have some very large regional parks which take care of those needs and need to be paid attention to. So they were looking for something to happen. I was told that the Catucci project, Fieldstone Manor, was going back before the planning board to be looked at. I don't know if it has or hasn't as of yet, where it is on their agenda. But about 9 months ago, the town did discover that the proposed parkland was transferred to the town. Actually, that was, as you said, in 2019 when Lonnie Gilbert was our supervisor. For some reason, it was never picked up by our town attorney at the time, which, Adam, that was before you, so I think that was Rich Abadi. But we immediately did begin discussions with Bill Catucci, who also believed that he still owned the land. There have been a lot of questions because there's never been a resolution accepting the parkland, which is something that is common in any of these cases. So with a goal of a global resolution of many issues, including the forgiving the tennis court requirement, updates to Granite Knolls. They actually sent a letter back in March or April saying, hey, can we do work in one of the parks if you don't want that land? And they were looking at a sensory garden that has been on the plan for that, possibly selling the property back, but there are a couple of questions on that. If it's part of recreation fee and he's not doing that recreation, receiving rental payments for the use of the property and protecting the town from any liability. And all town officials, including yourself, were involved in those discussions and closed. We did feel that the main thing to do was to make sure the town was absolved of anything, so the indemnity agreement was insisted upon and pushed through as quick as possible. We are looking at the other things, and last week we heard back that Bill was informed the town that he's not interested in purchasing the property based on opinion from his lawyer. On Friday, the town attorney did send him a notice ordering him to remove his vehicles from town property. And I don't know if you weren't paying attention, but when we were in closed, and I will share something from closed since it's been brought out, I did say if we are going to sell the property and show the property, everything needs to be off of the property. That's why a vacate order was sent. I was quite clear about that last week, and I still feel that way. It's the same thing with selling a house. You take all the personal pictures out, it's got to be a clean slate. The town is going to continue discussions. As for the vacate order, I know he was trying to get in touch with my office today, but I was out at the culvert and at the pool for some repairs, and we will see what they want to present. But it is a negotiation. Several issues that we're looking for an agreement on, including back rent for the authorized parking and recreational fees, what would happen. And still, even though we're going here, it's still not even our ball game because it's still before the planning board. So we're really handcuffed on some of these decisions, but if we could get something marked out in framework, we're going to try to do that. So it's not being ignored. It's not being being behind any type of veil. Legal negotiations, they should stay where they are, but since these were brought out, I will let everyone know where we're at, and we will continue to do that. I know our attorney's been in conversation with their attorney. I am not going to violate the rights. I'm not going to violate the laws, and I am not going to say, hey, you know what? We don't care what your opinion is. We're going to make sure we could work this out, because regardless of how we look at it, people that come into town to do business become our residents as well, and we will treat them like we would treat any resident and listen to them and make sure that we address the situation as it's supposed to be. We could always look backwards and do what we need to do, but I don't think it's appropriate to slam the door in anyone's face, whether they're a developer or a resident, because I think they're both interchangeable.
I'm very concerned that Susan brought some closed session items out and violated the sanctity of the whole closed session law. And this has happened in the past. So I'm concerned about that deeply.
Well, we could look at that on a more.
Deeply.
All right, can I make some comments? Number one, I didn't violate any closed session. I talked about the indemnification issue, which it was a public issue in March, and the sale of the property for the brokerage services was done in an open session last week. I haven't said anything that was in a closed session, so I haven't violated anything, and there's no confidentiality associated with executive sessions, and I can give you an opinion from the Committee on Open Government on that. I
beg to differ. That's a very broad statement. I just have to point out that's a statement I disagree with.
Which, the confidentiality?
Yeah.
And since our ethics board
It's a
has
very-
ruled against
it's an
people for
absolute
breaking.
statement. For the record, I disagree with it.
Well, I can give you a copy of the statement,
Okay.
of the opinion, and if you want, I could read it to you, but to me, that's a minor point, because I know that I didn't violate.
Not to me, you violated
Well, I
closed
didn't,
session.
because I talked about indemnification and the RFP, and those were done in open session. All right, those were done in open session, and that's what I told Mr. Wilson. The other points, I think you said the board was handcuffed because Mr. Catucci has to go back to the planning board. One thing has nothing to do with the other. We have to sell the property, because especially now that you've said that he's not interested in doing that, which means we have to move forward. We voted last week to advertise the RFP, so we have to move forward, and get that out so we can start selling this. I'm concerned about what happens when he hasn't vacated the property, and right now he has a sign there saying no trespassing, and it's Fieldstone Manor, like it's Fieldstone Manor's property that says no trespassing, when we have the deed. So how he can say he didn't know it wasn't his property defies logic. But what will we do when the property, as you say, you have to take your pictures off when you sell your house, and I know that because I had to sell a house and I had to clean it up and declutter it. What happens if a broker is ready to list it and he still has things there and he's violating the
So
trespass?
let me
What
answer
do we do then?
let me answer your question. If you want to take away all of our negotiation, okay. We have to find out the legality. If the land is his for a recreational component,
It's not his, it's
No.
ours.
excuse me, he gave us the land for a recreational component.
Yeah.
If the planning board turns around and says, we don't want that recreational component, are we eligible to sell the land? If they say, no, it's your property, and then there are a couple of different mechanisms which would go back to the door fee, which was the recreational space was in lieu of. So now we have to, we may make an illegal sale of that property if the planning board says no. So the blindness of saying kick them out, sell the property, and make this Pottersville or whatever you want to say is really misguided. We need to make sure, and I will cross those T's and dot those I's, we are not violating the law or his rights.
And I also
Well,
just want to
he's
mention,
com-
before you answer, Ed, I just want to mention the sign that says no trespassing based on Fieldstone is because when the site plan was done, that was part of the bigger picture.
No.
So it stopped. So
He
I
put the
believe-
sign up now.
Why are you
He put
screaming?
the
I don't
sign up
think that's
recently.
true. I think he's
Why
always
are
had
you
the sign.
screaming? We gave you the courtesy. Please
All I'm
give
saying is
everybody.
you're
Let's just have
Okay.
a regular, normal conversation without cutting everybody off.
I just feel like you're making it as if the sign is malicious. He's also had people come onto the property, whether it was our property now or his property then, and take pictures, and there are people that live there. And that is very unsafe and uncomfortable. So I don't want to blame him for having a sign.
The sign that I'm talking about is as you enter into where the trucks,
But what
where
I'm
everything
saying
is
is at one
parked,
point there were
and
two
those are recent signs. But to your point about the recreation requirement, if Mr. Catucci wants to honor the planning board's resolution from 2016, let him go build the tennis courts and the basketball court, which he's required to do.
That's not what I said, though. If we decide we don't want him to do that, then is the property ours or not? Because it would probably have to be redeeded, and then we would take a per door fee, which is $10,000 per house and $4,000 per apartment, which may behoove us versus having another park to take care of, because our recreation commission does not feel that that's something they want to do. So you know what? I know it takes time, but in government, when it comes to people's rights, that's what we're here for. And I don't care if it's a developer or a citizen. I'm not going to go to someone's door and say, well, we're going to do this, and then, well, if we're wrong, too bad, spend the money, do that. Let us get it right. And I think it's more important to do that. And we've had people sitting at this table say, you know what, is it really, if it wasn't accepted, is it ours? There are a couple of different opinions of it. So, Susan, I agree with you. We've been moving the ball forward. We're waiting on replies, which doesn't help, but you have to give a reasonable amount of time. So, and it's a little more complex. We've been pushing the ball forward, regardless of where your interview led, because I did read the interview. And it's, you know what, I understand where you're coming from, but I want to get it right. That's all. Plain and simple.
I agree that we follow process. Mr. Catucci has known for many months now that his building the he had to go back to the planning board, and he hasn't. And he hasn't.
Well, I think he has to develop the plans to bring back to them, and that does take a little time.
It's
And he
a
doesn't have
very
a
simple
requirement-
thing. He can
But
pay
he
the
doesn't have a requirement to do that until towards the end.
no.
Oh, no, Susan has the floor. Susan,
He's known for several months now that he had no intention of that he did not plan to build the recreation facilities.
He told you that?
I
Wait, he
think
spoke to you about it?
I think that was understood in our.
Oh, now we understand? Because I speak many languages. So did you speak to him, and did he tell you that? Did he tell you that, send you an email,
No.
confirm it with his attorney that he has zero intention of doing that? Did he do that?
Do you want to speak
asked a
about?
question.
Do you want to talk about what we talked about in closed session?
Did he do that?
Do you want to talk
I'm
about what we
asking you a
talked? No, I'm
question.
saying our attorney has been in
No,
touch.
I'm asking you.
No, because
Susan
I have
Siegel,
not. No, I have.
constituent and board member. Did he, Mr. Catucci, sit with you and say, "This is my intent"? Yes or no?
No, because I
No,
have
then
not.
we're done here. Stop
No,
assuming.
but we don't want to divulge what was talked about in closed session.
Also, well, we're
okay?
divulging what didn't come out of Catucci's
But
mouth,
Mr.
came out of your mouth.
Mr. Catucci has known for quite some time through conversations, I believe, with our town attorney, and we have known that he had no intention and plans to build the recreation facilities.
If I may, he did not. He never said that, and I will be honest with you, Susan. It's not up to him at this point. It's and I don't know why we can't get past that. We don't control everything. If the planning board says, "Hey, this is what we want," and we're not changing the site plan, guess what? He's building that, and we're getting it. And our rec commission, because this has been a point of contention since I've been on the board, the rec commission they're not gonna feel happy about it, but they're gonna have to live with it. And that has been going on in Yorktown for over a decade. And because that's how long I've sat here and I've dealt with this. So I think it's very disingenuous to put words into anyone's mouth. and especially when, I hate to say it, the decision's not his, just like the decision is not ours. And I think sometimes we need to understand there's a process and that we need to follow that process.
And how long will the process take? Because this has been going on for 11 months, and now you're talking about negotiations, and we can negotiate for another 11 months.
Oh, I think town can go on for years, actually.
Susan, you were a supervisor. You know that municipalities run different than a household. If you don't like the electrician in your household, you could throw him out tomorrow and get another one in the next day. Here, you can't do that.
All right, ladies and
Okay?
gentlemen,
That's it.
The fact
No,
of the
you
matter
can't.
is, the fact
Yes,
of the
you
matter
can.
is, there's nothing clandestine or convoluted. It's a convoluted situation, and there's nothing underhanded or clandestine that everybody's trying to allude to. So we're trying to work through the process. We've already put out all the facts here, some that shouldn't have been put out, but I'm glad they're out, and I think we need to look at our next steps and move forward with this meeting.
Adam, do you have anything to add to it, or just?
I would just caution board members from divulging confidential information, confidential communications. Doing so without authorization would violate the town ethics code.
Thank you.
Here,
All right, so we're going to move on to proclamations.
I'll take a look at it.
take a look at this.
Susan, you could hand it to him. Thank you. All right. So we have Diwali, which is the Hindu festival of lights, and for those that are Jewish, we understand our festival of lights and how the brightness brings out the or chases the evil away. And it was nice because I was driving around town on Saturday, checking out some things prior to the expected storm, looking at some culverts and some drains, and I ran across actually a Diwali celebration off of London Road, and I noticed it because of the sparklers, and it was brightening up the day. So this proclamation, this 21st day of October 2025, whereas Diwali, also known as Deepavali, is one of the most celebrated festivals in India and among people of Indian heritage across the world. And whereas Diwali signifies a triumph of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance, uniting people of all backgrounds in the spirit of hope and renewal, and whereas this joyous festival is marked by lighting diyas, lamps, decorating homes, sharing sweets, exchanging gifts, and gathering with family and friends in celebration of peace, prosperity, and compassion. And whereas Diwali also honors values such as generosity, gratitude, and the pursuit of inner light, which resonate across all cultures and faiths. Whereas the town of Yorktown recognizes and celebrates the many contributions of the South Asian and Indian American communities, whose traditions enrich the social, cultural, and economic fabric of our community. Now, therefore, I, Edward A. Lachterman, and the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown do hereby recognize Diwali, the Festival of Lights in Yorktown, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing the value of joy, unity, and renewal that Diwali embodies.
Ed, would it be okay if I took that and gave it to a dance school that's locally in town, and they have kids that recruit for Diwali?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. I
Thank
went
you.
to see them. They were fabulous.
I was going to drop it off at the home, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I can give it to the kid.
All right. And it is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Luciana?
Yep. Proclamation this 21st day of October 2025. Whereas domestic violence is a pervasive public health and safety issue that affects individuals of every age, gender, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic background, and community across our nation. And whereas nearly 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men have experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner, and countless others suffer emotional, psychological, and financial abuse, then often goes unreported. And whereas the devastating impact of domestic violence extends beyond the immediate victims to children, families, workplaces, and communities, creating a cycle of trauma that could persist for generations. And whereas community organizations, advocates, and survivors across the country have worked tirelessly to raise awareness, provide support and resources, and promote prevention through education and empowerment. And whereas during October, we honor the strength and resilience of survivors. Remember those whose lives have been tragically lost, and recommit ourselves to ending domestic violence in all its forms. And whereas by working together as individuals, families, schools, employers, faith groups, and communities, we can foster relationships based on respect and equality, support those in crisis, and help build a culture where violence is not tolerated. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of Ed Lackerman and the town board of the town of Yorktown, do hereby October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and urge all residents to take part to raise awareness, support survivors, and promote safety and respect all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to skip the next one for a couple of minutes. We'll go to German American Heritage Month.
All righty. Proclamation this 21st day of October 2025. Whereas more than 3 centuries, German Americans have contributed to the growth, prosperity, and cultural richness of the United States, beginning with the arrival of the first German settlement in 1683. And whereas millions of Americans today proudly trace their ancestry to Germany, making German Americans one of the most largest ancestral groups in the nation. Whereas German Americans have played a vital role in shaping the nation's history through achievements in education, science, business, agriculture, arts, government, and community of life. And whereas their traditions, craftsmanships, values, including strong work ethic, love of freedom, and commitment to family and community, continue to enrich the fabric of our society. And whereas throughout our community, we continue to see the influence of German heritage through festivals, music, cuisine, language, cultural organizations that preserve and celebrate and endure strength of our shared domestic values. Now, therefore, I, Edward A. Lackerman, and the Town Board of Yorktown do hereby proclaim October 2025 as German American Heritage Month and encourage all residents to join in the celebration of history, culture, and lasting contributions of German Americans to our community and our nation.
Thank you, Patrick. And we have also Italian American Heritage and Culture Month.
Let me guess.
In Italian,
In
Sergio.
Italian. I'm going to read this in Italian. Somebody get out your Google Apps. Whereas Italian Americans have made countless contributions to history, culture, and the growth of the United States, enriching our communities through their traditions, their values, and enduring spirit of family and faith. And whereas from the earliest explorers and immigrants who helped build our nation to today's leaders in business, education, science, government, and the arts, Italian Americans have helped share the character and progress of our country. And whereas Italian American Heritage and Culture Month offers an opportunity to honor the sacrifices, perseverance, and achievements of generations who came to America in search for a better life and who have continued to embody the ideals of hard work, integrity, and community. And whereas Italian culture, with its rich legacy in art, music, literature, cuisine, and design, continues to inspire people around the world and adds immeasurable beauty and vitality to our daily lives. And whereas this month we celebrate the proud heritage of Italian Americans and recognize their contributions to the civic, cultural, and economic life of our community and our nation. Now, therefore, on behalf of Edward A. Lackerman and the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown, we do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Italian American Heritage and Culture Month in Yorktown and encourage all to join in recognizing and celebrating the many ways that Italian Americans have strengthened our society and enriched our shared American story.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
So, for our next proclamation, we have two special guests to come up. Anna, Gianna, you guys want to come up to the podium?
She's been here before.
No, you can't go up there. You gotta stay over here.
She could come up.
All right. Hi, Jay.
I'm here.
All right.
You're here.
Happy Diwali. Okay. Proclamation this 21st day of October 2025. Whereas October is recognized nationally as Down Syndrome Awareness Month, a time to celebrate the abilities and accomplishments of individuals with Down syndrome and to promote acceptance, inclusion, and respect for all. And whereas Down syndrome is the most common chromosomal condition occurring in approximately 1 in every 700 births, and individuals with Down syndrome lead fulfilled lives as valued members of families, schools, workplaces, and communities. And whereas people with Down syndrome enrich our lives through their unique talents, perspectives, and contributions, and their achievements remind us of all the importance of providing opportunities for education, employment, and community engagement. And whereas organizations such as the National Down Syndrome Society and local advocacy groups work tirelessly to raise awareness, provide support to families, and advocate for policies that promote full inclusion and equal rights. And whereas during this month and throughout the year, we recognize the importance of fostering communities that embrace diversity and support the well-being and dignity of all individuals. Now, therefore, I, Ed A. Lackman, and the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Down Syndrome Awareness Month and encourage all residents to learn more about Down syndrome, celebrate the achievements of individuals with Down syndrome, and promote an inclusive and compassionate society for all.
Amen.
Thank you.
Gianna, come on up, please.
You want to come sit next to the supervisor?
Careful.
High five.
High five. Yes.
Right here.
One more, you got it.
Penny Green.
Want to go see Miss Susan over there?
Throw it at her. Good job. Get the throwing it at her. Great job.
And Anna, before you leave, you know,
There you go. You can do it.
she's got it. There you go.
Oh,
Like your mother, Mr.
there we go.
Thank you.
Yes, Gianna.
And,
Yeah, Gigi. I want to be you when I grow up.
and Anna, before you go, you know, there are just two things I think I have to speak about for people that don't know you and don't know Gianna. And I'll start with Gianna first. The sweetest young lady you could ever want to meet. She's always at our events in town, always participating, and just such a great young lady, which comes from the parenting. And you and Alex and the advocacy work you do, the work with Gigi's Playhouse, the work in the community, the knowledge that you pass on, it's a treasure. It really is. Cal and I always look forward to coming over and supporting and being there with you when you do those events. And
we love having you.
and I just ask you to really keep going with them and never stop advocating.
Never
and-
stop.
Good.
You'll
Good.
get sick and tired of me, but I'm never going to
I don't think I'll ever get sick and tired of you, and God bless the
Thank
work you do. Thank you.
Say bye, Jean.
Bye, Gianna.
Such a sweet kid.
Yeah.
All right, Poet Laureate. I know John's not here. Did he send you something, Sergio?
I got something.
I don't know we might have to deduct from our poet laureate's pay if he can't get here to the meetings.
Well, it's hard
What
to
do
deduct
we
from
pay him?
free.
Oh, free?
We could give him a raise. We could make him work on the roof.
There you go.
The negative
61
one.
years, 32.7 miles, and a lifetime. 61 years ago, I left my 3.5-room apartment at the top of Manhattan Island to start my life away from a parent or the Army and on my own. 32.7 miles away from the 3.5-room apartment, now one more than 3.5 acres, in a 3-story barn in northern Westchester, New York, my life has taken many turns. 2 marriages and 2 children. The first for 14 years. The second, current and last, now for 47 years. The children now 55 and 52. All successful, bright, and outstanding in their own way. 7 occupations, some overlapping. Law student, contract writer, computer programmer, technology executive, technology consultant, partner in consulting firm, college professor, published writer, nonfiction and fiction, and poet. And now I've had more in every way than many. More happiness than most, and I have no way of knowing how long this will go on. But I am truly thankful for every minute so far and yet to come. In the words of Billy Pilgrim, and so it goes. And if you are about to care, if you care about the origin of the quote, in the words of Charles Dillon Stengel, you can't look it up. Poet laureate.
All right. Thank
Good
you,
job,
John.
All right, John. Feel better out there, buddy.
All right. We'll move to personnel. We're going to accept the retirement letter received from Officer Robert Dorr from the Police Department effective October 17th, 2025, with thanks for his many years of service to the town. Good luck to you, Rob. And yeah, God bless, my friend. We are going to appoint Christopher Tyrell to the position of Intermediate Accountant Clerk in the Finance Department. And can I have a motion on those?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will open up for courtesy of the floor. Please remember to introduce yourself. You have 3 minutes. You do not have to wait for courtesy of the floor to contact the town board. We are available via phone, email, and on the streets, so, and as are all of our department heads. So thank you. Hold on a second. Let's see if we give Diane a minute. Did I bring my book down?
You can have 2 minutes.
There you go.
My notebook.
I didn't see it. Did you read it?
I did, but maybe I left it upstairs. Try to.
Any paper?
No, I should be able to use
Good
this.
evening, Jay Kopstein. First, I think this town board and every other town board since I moved up here in 1987 has been remiss in not explaining, either on video or similar, how town finances work. For example, we talk about a fund balance. There is no monolithic fund balance. Different districts have fund balances. They are not interchangeable. Similarly, we talk about bonds. A bond is a mortgage. Do we want to pay interest on a mortgage? Do we want to mortgage a town for 30 years? Things of that nature should be in an educational video or something so that the people in the town know what we're talking about budget time. That's first. Secondly, when we have discussions before the board, members of the board should talk about issues, not names. But we're mentioning names when we may be talking about corporations and not individuals, and that could open up the town to a liability. Third, we have to be careful what we're saying, because we may be undercutting the legs of our town attorney, the town planning board, and the attorney for the planning board. There are certain issues that should not be discussed in open session, period. Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks. I'm Mel Tansman, new address 1298 East Main Street at Wynwood Oaks.
You're back?
I am back and better than ever. You'll see.
Good to see you.
Well, it is silly season again, and once again, some candidates are beautifying our community by placing such attractive election signs, including 4-foot high visages, of themselves all over our fair town. I know I'm not alone in wishing the candidates show some restraint. As I said, I'm a resident of Wynwood Oaks, affordable senior housing, and discovered this flyer in all the buildings of our complex, which says it's meet the candidates. Unfortunately, it's not all the candidates, and it doesn't even say anything about the fact that none of these are all the candidates. The only candidates listed are the Republicans. I have a few choice questions which I'd like to hear answered. Who is exactly sponsoring this event? The candidates? The owner of the building? The tenants? And who's paying for the light breakfast that's being served? And lastly, do the members of the town board who are candidates believe that a housing provider that receives state and federal funding should be involved in this type of partisan event? Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to manage.
Hi, Howard.
Hello. You're going to like this one. Good evening, Supervisor Ed Lackerman and the town board. I am Howard Gould, a Yorktown resident. I am here tonight to speak about the critical importance of civility and respect dialogue within our community during these public meetings. Our strength lies not in uniformity, but in our ability to engage with one another even when we disagree. The foundation of any productive group, any strong community is civility. It is a simple word, but its meaning is profound. Civility is about respect. It's about listening with an open mind, not just waiting for our turn to speak. It is about allowing each person to finish their thoughts completely, without interruption. True listening isn't just about waiting for your turn. It's about making an effort to see the world from another person's perspective. It is about understanding that every voice, every perspective holds value. We must remember that dialogue is a two-way street. When we interrupt, when we belittle, when we turn a discussion into an argument, we close the door.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Gentlemen, can we please give respect to Howard? Thank you.
Can I get a couple of seconds, please? We shut the door down the very conversations we need to be having to solve challenges before us. It is easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, but we have a responsibility to rise above it, to lead by example. We can disagree without being disagreeable. We challenge ideas without attacking people. And let's not forget the younger generation. They are learning how to engage with others from us. We have the responsibility to be an example of respect and open communication. So let's commit to a new standard of respect and kindness. Let's listen with intent to understand and speak with the purpose of building bridges, not burning them. In doing so, we not only show respect for each other, but also show respect for the very process of shared work. Our shared stability depends on how we treat each other. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Howard. You didn't even need the seconds back.
Oh, and have a nice evening.
You too.
Let's go on, Pat.
Let's see.
All set?
Good evening, everybody. C.J. Diven, 34-year Yorktown resident, business operator, property owner, investor in Yorktown, having raised 2 children, the entire system here. I come tonight, and will come thereafter, based upon my read of your last meeting, specifically the comments that the board made in response to Mr. Simmons, Ms. O'Neill, and Ms. Sillick, because I think it's important that the board address the following. Ed, I know you take notes. The town has a recognized drainage issue in Jefferson Valley. That was codified by Ed, you, and the planning director back on January 12th of 2021, when you enacted an overlay law, a tool designed to specifically address that units, because as your planning director had instructed, the actual residents of the Osceola corridor came to him and said, we can't afford to do it for ourselves. At that same time, Ed, you and the planning director acknowledged the recreational loss of Lake Osceola. You are now in the throes of recognizing an issue with Mohegan Lake, and you have a water system that travels through the Osceola corridor from Jefferson Village, through the mall, through the golf course, through Shrub Oak, across 6, and into Mohegan Lake. The overflow sediments are the nature of the contamination. That's been described to you by Aaron Bach. What specifically seems to have gotten lost is that Jefferson Village, the largest development, 100 acres in size, 1,200 units, saturated in density, dumps its stormwater directly into Bogdanov's Pond, which is not regulated, not maintained. In fact, in 2018, you signed a wetland permit that excluded Bogdanov's Pond from their wetland work, which you gave them $100,000 to perform to help the storm sewage issue. Ironically, they're against the overlay tool that would have addressed it, but there's nobody looking downstream of why you have a liquor store with sandbags in its entryway. There is no staff member coming forward to find out why that sewer issue was not addressed, Susan, in 2010 when you did it. You addressed Jefferson Village, you addressed the stormwater issue, but you were silent when they spoke about there is no stormwater issue, we made it up. You run a blog that says, I only came forward for the sole purpose of making money and getting greater density. You left out, I promised to deliver sewers. You left out the time that I put through. The fact that in 2018, I was actually giving money, not getting my roads paid for. I was actually doing something. As a resident, I would like to see you look at that, find out why your staff does not have a managed stormwater system for your industrial park, why you have site plans that are unconformed with, that don't regulate and control them. I think when you make your comments at the end, I think, Ed specifically, since you're the full-time board member, you should create a meeting with engineering and planning and find out why there is no stormwater management in place.
Thanks, Adrian.
Good evening. Jan Mirchandani, Yorktown Heights. I just want to take a moment and thank you all for recognizing Domestic Violence Awareness Month. You know, as you mentioned in your proclamation, it affects far too many in our community. And I want to make sure that anyone who may still be in a situation where violence is affecting them, they understand that there are resources where they can turn for assistance. It's really important to understand that leaving an abusive situation is rarely a single decision. Research shows that it typically takes an average of 7 attempts before somebody is able to leave for good. And there are many barriers in making that leaving difficult, including financial dependence, fear of retaliation, lack of support systems, and concern for children or pets. That's why having accessible resources and a supportive community is so crucial for those trying to break free from domestic violence. So I want to highlight some resources that we have here locally. There's the National Domestic Violence Hotline that has operators speaking multiple languages and interpreters available. It's open 24 hours a day, and that number is 1-800-799-7233. And here in the county, you can go on the county's website at women.westchester.gov.com/domestic-violence-home. And on that page, there are many more resources available, including Hope's Door, My Sister's Place, the Putnam Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center, Pace Family Court Domestic Violence Legal Centers, as well as many others. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted some resources for anybody who may be in those situations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Good evening, Sarah Wilson, 34-year resident of Yorktown. I will, of course, put in a reminder about the Repair Cafe coming up this Saturday. It's our 27th Repair Cafe here in Yorktown. So look around the house, see what's broken, and hopefully we can fix it for you. And also, it's a few weeks away, but the Community Food Pantry in Mohegan is, of course, again, collecting food items for their Thanksgiving distribution. Each year, the Community Food Pantry provides all the makings for a Thanksgiving dinner for over 300 families. I know the Lions do amazing work in terms of the collecting the turkeys and everything else, but of course, it's not just the turkey, it's everything else that goes with it. I do have a couple of flyers, which I can leave on the back table.
Right.
And the pantry is accepting donations up through Friday, November 21st. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? All right. Motion to close courtesy of the floor?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jay, thank you for your points. The fund balance versus bond is a big issue. People don't understand. I know when I first heard of, taking a bond out, I'm like, oh, we're getting a savings bond? My grandfather always gave savings bonds, Israeli savings bonds, for all of our occasions. So it is important, and actually, the comptroller and I are planning for the budget season to do a supervisor show for Yorktown. The issues versus names, I understand. Unfortunately, a lot of times these projects get tied on to someone, and it comes through. But yes, there's definitely needs to be there. And as I said, I did not really want to address some of the situations, but since they were brought to the table, I felt I had to, and I do agree that it not only undercuts the attorney and the planning board, but really even the town sometimes. But we have to have full transparency when it's brought before the table, and I really believe in that. I'm going to pass Windward Oaks to you, Sergio, in a couple minutes. I will say with the signs, at least your comments were a lot nicer here than they were online when you referred to them being the same as Mussolini and Adolf Hitler. I don't think that that signs rise to that status, and as a Ukrainian Jew, I do find that extremely insulting, and it downplays the atrocities that went on during World War II and in the Holocaust. Howard, civility and listening, and I'm sorry you were interrupted while you were talking, but it is, and you've heard me say it before, God gives you 2 ears and 1 mouth, because it's twice as hard to listen as it is to speak. CJ, I will definitely look into the stormwater plan for that industrial area and see where that's at. Did CJ leave? He did. Okay. But thank you. I will say Mohegan Lake is private ownership, and they have their own association. They have their own taxing district, and they're the ones who look at that. And it's actually multi-jurisdictional. Mohegan Lake is in both Yorktown and Cortland. So they do that, and we are looking at some different solutions to some of the issues. As a matter of fact, we've had some great success with the drainage in that area already. A lot of the flooding over the past year and a half has been eradicated because of our work with the Department of Transportation and getting them on top of the culverts, doing stream cleaning, both up and down Route 6, and it has definitely made a big difference. As a matter of fact, I stopped at Brian D's house. He lives right by that stretch of water, and I went after the big rains the other day, and we were both shocked that you could walk on his grass without soaking your shoes, because that's what had been happening. And I know he was very appreciative, but we really want to keep working on that, because it's an ongoing issue. It's a natural issue, and we have our limitations to what we could do, especially through the DOT properties, but it is starting to pay dividends in the water. For domestic violence awareness, you're absolutely right, Jan. Thank you for the resources. And I will say that leaving is also made harder through the system sometimes. It's one of the things that we've looked at, and Assemblyman Matt Slater has taken up trying to push a law, because someone who is in the system with domestic violence, especially if they are in a Section 8 housing, they end up, if they want to move, they'll say, fine, you're at the bottom of the list, even in victims of domestic violence. The point in case he was working to change the law on was the family in the Somers that was tragically broken up when both the mother and a son were shot by the boyfriend, and one of the son passed away, and they wanted to move, but the government system that they were in with Section 8 would not allow it without them going to the bottom of the list. So their choice was stay there or have no housing. And our laws need to recognize the fact that there are cases such as domestic violence that we cannot tolerate, and we have to help to protect the innocent victims in that. So I thank Matt Slater for his push to change the system. He's really been working hard at it. And Sarah, I thought I had something through Repair Cafe, and Carol fixed it. So we're done on that. And
She's hired.
Maybe Carol can work there.
maybe. And thank you for pushing the food pantry. Yes, the Lions will be doing the turkey drive, and yes, we also do get other fixings through that. We make donations as well, which the food banks can use to purchase. A couple of years ago, the need was so heavy for turkeys. We offered both St. Mary's and the Presbyterian Church turkeys. And the Presbyterian Church said, we're good, and if we need a few more, we could probably get them from St. Mary's. And I got a phone call at about 7:30 in the morning saying, we have a line, we're going to run out of turkeys. So Carol and I ran down to Acme and bought another 30 turkeys to try to help them. But it's a great need in the community, and we really need to do what we can. If you look on the Lions website, that's Yorktown Lions or Yorktown NY Lions. Otherwise, you might get Virginia or Indiana, and it would be awfully far to drive for the drop-off there. But you can look for drop-off points. They'll do something at Uncle Giuseppe's. I think it's on the 23rd or 24th, and then they'll do something at the gazebo, as they usually do. And we will get those turkeys distributed. And any help the community could give, please. You could reach out to them, and maybe we could even put a box for like stuffing and fixings into town hall, so we could get that to them. So thank you for pointing it out, and it's a huge thing with our, with that. And I know that our members of our food pantries are part of our food insecurity task force, and even though they haven't really been meeting regularly,
They're working hard.
well, we also have conversations about it regularly as well, and there are definitely a lot of issues, and this year could even be harder. So, please, anything you could find to do is a wonderful thing.
We're seeing how scarce those pallets are from where they were. So
You want to address the Windward Oaks?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, do you want me to do it? Because when I ran, I did it. You know what I mean? So we went over to Windward Oaks, and the candidates pay for it, 100% of it. And it's just a way to get out there and do a meet and greet. You know, the Democratic Party did it right over here in Beaver Ridge when I ran. We did it over at Windward Oaks.
They did it at Windward Oaks also.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a common thing. So, but the candidates do it, and Jan, thank you for bringing up the domestic violence. And you know what, Diana, is there any way that we could have a button on the website so that people can go to our website and click about the resources for that?
It's a question for the supervisor to take up with your webmaster.
Okay. It sounds like a good idea. Jan has all those. No one's writing that down. You spoke too fast.
Suicide prevention might be up there, like a whole bunch of services.
I think we do have services, but I will check with our webmaster for it.
That'd be good. All right, well, I guess you addressed it. So.
Sorry, bud.
Anyone else?
I walked the walk before, that's all.
add a few comments. I'm looking forward to your discussion and explanation about the town finances. It can be confusing. It's often misunderstood. I'm reminded that many, many years ago, I did write a series of articles explaining the town's budget process and finances. They were on a website that I used to maintain that's no longer available. If I can find those articles on my computer, I may try to revive it and just put it on my new website, which is susansiegelforyorktown.com. On the sign law, this comes up every 2 years about the proliferation of signs. And there's been a lot of talk about revising our sign law. And I plan to bring this up again sometime after the election. The sign law does need to be revised. And campaign signs fall under what's called I think it's called public opinion. And back when I was supervisor, we did have to revise that to conform with some U.S. Supreme Court decisions. So we have to be very careful about what we regulate and how we regulate, and it has to be very consistent and uniform. But I do plan to bring that to the board sometime after election, probably not until after the new year. As far as Mr. Divins' comments about stormwater is a problem throughout Yorktown. I know there have been problems for years about the Shrub Oak Brook, which goes from Lake Osceola through the JV Mall, through the liquor store he mentioned, the problems down people on the south side of Old Compound Road, the Bound Brook area have problems. This needs attention. It needs long-term planning, and this is one of the things where I think the town needs to do more, and it's part of the issue I have been continually bringing up. We need a real capital plan that identifies certain projects that we will go ahead and look at. Shrub Oak Brook and stormwater, whether it's just Jefferson Valley or the whole brook, needs to be attended to. And I just want to point out with the Repair Cafe, Michael, I thank you because you helped me out at one of those and fixed a lamp, and I use the lamp every day, so thank you again. That's an invaluable service. Ed has used it, I have used it, and I encourage you, to go there. They're wonderful volunteers who fix things.
Yeah.
So just, Susan, so just on the signs, there has been conversations about amending our sign laws, and it was more about like the A-frame signs, having some conformity and allowing businesses to promote themselves, but, then having to, not just leave them out there. There's a few things, like a couple of ideas I had was, if you're going to have an A-frame sign, maybe we regulate that it has to be a certain size, so you can't have multiple sizes, and, possibly having a time frame when you can have them out. At night, get them off the streets. I mean, it's that kind of stuff, so I'd love to work with you on that.
Yeah, these would be issues, again, because it has to go under public opinion signs, so it could be for anything, okay? It's not just campaign signs. You can't just have a separate category of campaign signs. So, and the existing sign law does have separate regulations governing real estate signs and business signs.
Those are the ones
those are separate. We're talking about what's called public opinion signs. And so we can regulate, for example, we can say if it's timed to a certain issue, it could be, you start the start date and the end date. I think you could regulate size, but I'm not sure. There are many issues we have to be very careful because of the constitutional requirements.
Right, but the campaign signs are just one part of what I want to see in the sign law, which is more about, the businesses and how we regulate that. And also allow that to happen to some degree in a professional manner. But, so it's just not everybody putting something up that's not conforming with each other. There can be a way to do it that can facilitate what the business needs are and what the town needs are. So that's, I think, what we need to talk about.
Absolutely. The signs, some portions are so outdated that, for example, the Welcome to Yorktown digital sign at the Triangle intersection, that's technically illegal by our current code. I mean, those sections haven't been looked at in gazillion years. All right, that's just one example.
I don't believe it is, but I think we looked at it when we put that in.
All right. you know, and there are neon signs and all kinds of the sandwich board signs, and you know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll work with you. Definitely look
Yeah,
forward to.
and you may
working
want to include Jason. I've had him looking at different sign
Yes.
codes. And Susan, I'm a little surprised you missed something.
What's that?
Maybe because we didn't spend a lot of money on it. We did do a major job at the Shrub Oak Stream last year. There was a lot of erosion, which was causing a water slowdown and eddying, and we think that was contributing to some of the flooding. We went in, we were able to get the rocks off of some construction sites. Our people were able to do the work. We had to rent a proper excavator for it, but we were able to reline the bank and fix the eroding bank line, and that's really helped in the flow of the water over there. So some permanent things that we are looking at and getting done, and I just want to do that and give a shout out, since he walked into the room, to Dan Ciarcia, because it was his engineering plan and his people that helped us over at the Shrub Oak Brook, along with Jim Matarano, because you know, we've been doing a lot of our departments working together, which has been very helpful. All right, let's open for our public hearings. We'll convene our public hearing to consider the application of Frank Criollo, 436 East Main Street, Jefferson Valley, to construct a new house, single-family house. And it looks like Joe Rena coming up.
Any letters?
Kathy, have a good night.
Bye, Gabby. Yeah, that's what I was saying. How I feel. I wonder how I know. Email.
All right, and
What's up, Joe?
I'm looking here. Planning board looked at the referral, discussed it. Board requested that the applicant submit a tree mitigation plan pursuant to Yorktown Town Code, and the board has no planning objections to the proposed project. We have DEP with no comment. We have the Conservation Board with the site requiring significant grading to manage the steep slopes. Careful monitoring of on-site construction is needed to ensure that overgrading does not occur and that the line of disturbance is maintained. The use of the former stone foundation to collect all the water runoff from impervious surfaces resulting from construction of the driveway and the house is a concern. The ability of the foundation to withstand a large storm even was discussed. Although Mr. Rena assured the board that the foundation is watertight, some independent assessment should be conducted to ensure that it is truly suitable for this purpose. If the detention basin is constructed as a rain garden, planting plans for this iteration should be submitted, including how overflow discharge will be handled. And the applicant proposes removal of 23 trees, of which 11 are invasive Norway maples. Mitigation for removal of the remaining 12 trees is required. A planting plan with the type and size of replacement trees should be submitted, and all replacement trees should be native species. The applicant should be referred to the tree advisory for review. And I think that's it.
Did you see those?
Thank you. Yes, I did, and I responded to that memo already. Joseph Rena, the principal site design consultant, representing Frank Criollo. Mr. Criollo has a property at 436 East Main Street in Jefferson Valley, and I'll try to just give you a... So this is roughly the property right in here. It also has frontage on Nelson Avenue, which is not a town road, it's a private road, from which it is proposed to gain access for the proposed project.
Now, Joe, I think there was an email that came through today regarding the access from Nelson. Is there a right-of-way that is deeded into that?
Yes.
Okay.
That it has rights to that frontage, if that's what you're asking me?
Yeah, has there been documentation that the 436 property has legal access to Nelson?
Right.
Has that been submitted? I'd like to see this documentation.
Okay. We didn't know that was being asked for, but
Dan, did you have that? I know you and I discussed it.
That was an issue that a resident raised, the question of, apparently, I checked with Dave Paganelli. From Wood Street into Nelson is public, and then at some point it becomes private.
yeah, there are other houses on Nelson.
So, Joe, if you want to go on, I'll take a look.
Okay. So the property previously had a residence on it, which is no longer in existence. The only thing remaining is the stone foundation. It's proposed to build a 4-bedroom house on the property. Again, the access is going to be coming off of Nelson. The house will have a deck overlooking East Main Street and take advantage of the view of the lake. The house is going to be served by town water and a septic system, which we have gotten approval for by the health department. We've also are utilizing, as we mentioned as you read in that memo, we're utilizing the existing foundation as a retention area for stormwater, which we've designed for a 25-year storm. It'll have a controlled outlet. We're going to raise the inside of the foundation about 5 feet because we don't need that full volume, and that will handle the stormwater coming off the new house and driveway and lawn area at the back of the house. We prepared an erosion sediment control plan to ensure that during construction we have no incidents where we might have erosion or transport of sediment off the site during that, the time when the project is being built. Retaining walls will be constructed as necessary to maintain the slopes and protect the site. As mentioned, we're removing 23 trees, 11 of which are invasive, and 12 are regulated trees. We prepared the town calculation worksheet, which determines the offsetting mitigation for the plantings. So based on that worksheet, with the 12, we will be planting 23 native trees as part of the mitigation, and as remaining $2,000 will be contributed to the tree fund to be whole with the mitigation requirement. And I'll just point that out on it. So the darker green sort of dots there, those are the trees that are being proposed to be planted. You can see where the driveway is. You can see the residence in the deck. Off to the right, there's a little green patch there. That's the septic system. And off to the left and down a little bit is the foundation, which we're going to be using for our stormwater detention.
Joe, do you know approximately how long there hasn't been a functioning house there? When
I have no idea.
Could it be 3 years, 10 years, 15 years? Do you have?
I don't know, but I know I've looked back at some of the older aerials, and there was something there at least within the last 5 years. Whether it was habitable or not, I don't know.
When you say something there, just could it have been
like a structure?
The aerial just showed the foundation.
It showed us. No, it actually showed a house structure.
Within, let's say, 5 years or so, you think?
Yeah. But whether it was anyone was living in it or whether it was habitable, I have no idea.
Did the house burn down?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
I have some concerns, but I'd like to know if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak.
Okay, we'll open for public comment. Anyone here to speak on this subject? Okay, motion to close public comment.
No,
I'll go to you.
all right, yeah, I have some. I have some. Well, I
Well, you're not public comment, but
That's
We
You wanna
close
say
it
yours?
and you could talk.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
the board
yeah.
discussion
Talk.
is generally after.
We
it's
closed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close it.
So
Sergio,
I have,
done?
I have a,
I mean, I don't understand. That's what, this is the your standard
Public
procedure,
hearing.
right? We
Yeah,
close.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay. all right.
yes.
Sergio.
We have a motion from Serge.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Susan, comments?
Yeah, thank you for the deed. I have, obviously haven't read it, but I assume, they have access. I am concerned about the steep slope, which the Conservation Board has determined, and I know that you responded and you said, yes, you're gonna do the erosion and control,
And build retaining walls.
and retaining walls, and you know that I've been bringing up the steep slope issue for quite some time, so I am concerned about this, that it needs a more in-depth look than just looking at what you as an engineer, and I have greatest respect for your professional qualifications, obviously. So I have that concern. Then I also have concern about the runoff onto Wood Street, because I believe that there is already a problem, at the base of Wood Street, which is a critical problem. And I'm not so sure that even the Conservation Board has raised concerns about whether using the old foundation as a retaining basin will be sufficient. And with the cutting down of 23 mature trees, that's going to increase the sheet runoff. So I have concerns, about between the steep slopes and the runoff. I have serious concerns about the redevelopment of this property.
Okay.
That have not been addressed. If they can be addressed, fine, but they haven't been addressed to my satisfaction at this point.
Okay. I'll gladly work with Dan to satisfy him to make sure that we're.
Dan, have you looked this over already? Why don't you come up?
I think that, I was recently reading the DEP comments regarding the Toll Brothers project, which is a totally separate project, but it involves steep slopes. And the detail of the kind of evaluation that DEP wanted to see on how the steep slopes were managed, in their Toll Brothers thing, just highlighted and emphasized the points that I've been making, that we need to look more closely. Our engineer has to look more closely at this. Certainly on a single-family home, evaluating the steep slopes is not something that the building department and the building department inspectors, I don't think they have the expertise. This is really an engineering issue. And that's why I think we need the code to be more precise as to what needs to be looked at because of this area and because of the potential for exacerbating the flooding on Wood Street. These are my concerns, and I think we just need more information.
Daniel?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So in the past, there was not a mechanism on single-family homes that would get the level of scrutiny it gets today. We're obviously before the town board having a public hearing, which years ago that was never the case. So steep slopes, in my mind, are not something that can't be dealt with. I mean, the general standard we use is if a slope's greater than 3-on-1 and is being disturbed, that erosion blankets are placed to help establish a turf without erosion. Obviously, the erosion control, silt fence, and other measures remain in place until the site's fully stabilized. And even in the end, when they are looking for a CO, we have an inspector go out and see what the condition of the property is in terms of stabilization. If it isn't fully stabilized, and sometimes it's a time of year scenario, we hold a bond to ensure that when the spring comes around, it's adequately seeded, vegetation's established to stabilize, any disturbed surfaces. As far as stormwater, we follow the state regulations. I mean, this one isn't in the DEP watershed, but Joe will provide stormwater calcs to demonstrate that we're not increasing the rate of runoff going down to East Main Street. And, again, this doesn't just go to the building department. So it is getting a level of scrutiny by my office, and because of, well, it depends on how the history of the lot. This one happens to have been an existing lot, so it's before this board. Had this been a lot in a new subdivision, it would have gone back to the planning board. So again, there's, you know, these single-family lots are not strictly administrative anymore.
Just a quick question. So because I think we had this discussion already. I think we talked about the deed that there was access. I seem to recall this last week.
Yes.
But anyway,
That's right.
so we're doing it again. But and it's okay. It's the public hearing. The inspector that you said that goes out, that's an inspector from your department.
That's correct.
So an engineering inspector will go out, not the building department
Right,
inspector.
the building department will reach out to us before they issue a building permit,
Understood.
a certificate of occupancy, to make sure there's no outstanding engineering issues.
So
That's
so-
standard protocol.
So it gets triggered in your department, not the building department, on a single-family home that has the steep slopes that are 3-on-1 or greater, right? And then you take a look at it from an engineering perspective, and then you send out an inspector from the engineering department to look at the steep slope and make sure that it's stable. And if the time of year is wrong, just to reiterate what you said, you guys will bond it to make sure that everything is copacetic and it's done correctly from
Yeah,
an
and-
engineering perspective.
Right, and then
I mean-
part of the standard conditions are as well that when a permit is granted, a stormwater erosion permit like this, it's mandatory to have a pre-construction meeting, and we do that so that, you know, a lot of times we have these hearings, everybody says, I'll do this, I'll do that. We want to meet with the contractors actually doing the work to make sure these conditions,
Can be met.
you know, even if they're on the plans, they're in the resolution, we don't want to hear any excuses. I didn't know about it. I didn't know I had to do that. We sit down with the contractor, lay out what the requirements of the particular project were, you know, so he can't play stupid with us.
So I'm sorry, Pat. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we have this you know, horrific steep slope issue in town. I mean, I'll have the discussion about the steep slope law because Susan wants to bring it up. We can have an open discussion. I think we've already discussed this, and the board didn't have an appetite to look at it. But all right, nonetheless, so it's my understanding that you're looking at it from an engineering perspective, and if it's a larger development, the planning board looks at the steep slope issues from their perspective. So
Yeah,
I think it's being handled, and this is not your first house on a steep slope, right there.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing,
is?
the other thing I would say too is that like steep slopes legislation, you know, effectively can become a regulatory trigger. If you've got, you know, whatever you want to set as the standard that would maybe kick something from not being administrative, that there'd be a more rigorous review. So that happens anyway. You don't need the regulatory trigger for all this other review to take place because we have low thresholds in the amount of disturbance and the quantity of fill that generally any single-family home now triggers a non-administrative review and ends up either here or before the planning board.
Thank you, Pat. I'm sorry.
No, I was just about to say, with these new requirements that you have, with your engineering hat on, you go over these a little bit more in detail than you did 10, 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole new, you know, it goes back a little further than that.
I get
but
that.
the state, you know, implemented regulations to manage stormwater that, you know, hadn't been required, you
So
know,
with your
whatever, 20
engineer,
years ago.
with your engineering hat on, this project, let's talk about this project. Are you comfortable with what's in front of you? And did you do your due diligence from an engineering perspective?
Well, what we'll do is, you know, once we have all the comments, because we'll look at it to make sure all the comments have been addressed,
Mhm.
we'll do a final review, and then we'll craft a resolution for the board. So if there's any other issues that, you know, we come across or conditions either from the Conservation Board or the Tree Commission, if Joe's plans don't reflect those, we'll memorialize those in the resolution approving this application.
Well, Ed, I mean, I think the steep slope issue is well handled. I don't think we should hold these guys up.
Well, no, we will wait for the resolution so Dan
Yeah.
can finish.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
But yeah.
I have another question. Joe, in responding to the Conservation Board's comments, they had some questions about the rain garden, and your response was, after further consideration, the rain garden plantings will not work well because of the level of inundation expected in higher storm events. So will you have to be revising your stormwater plan now?
No.
How will you
Calculation is,
compensate if you're not going to have the rain garden?
rain garden the rain garden is just another type of way to address stormwater. And it will not work in this case because it's recommended that the depth of a rain garden is no more than 6 inches. And specifically because they don't want to inundate the plants that are in there, because it's just going to kill the plants. In this case, we're going to have, in a 25-year storm, we're going to have 3 feet of water in there. So that would not work.
Was a rain garden part of your original stormwater plan, though?
No, that was just something that was banted around with the Conservation
I
Board.
thought
It
it
was
was
not,
part
was never on my plan.
Okay.
So your plan successfully mitigates what you expect
Correct, for the 25-year storm.
for the 25-year storm? Okay.
All right, we'll wait for a resolution and get on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed, can you please send me a copy of the deeds?
Well, I just gave them to the clerk's office, so it'll be part of the record, I'm sure. She's pretty efficient at that.
Diana, would you please send me a copy of the deeds? Thank you.
And Dan, thank you for the research. I was shocked because those are all actually older than me and they weren't chiseled into stone, so good. Yes, the black with the white type. That was the giveaway that they were all.
I love it.
So, but thank you for getting that. I know that there was a constituent with a concern on that, and
Yeah, that's why I would like to share it with that constituent.
Okay.
The one who raised the issue. I'd like her to see it.
all right. So we're going to convene a public hearing to consider an application for a site plan amendment for property located on Front Street, Yorktown, New York, 48.07-2-11, 13, 15, and 17. Submitted by Tanto Irrigation LLC for the purpose of adding fencing and the removal of one of 2 buildings. All right. Is that you again, Joe?
That's
or
me
you just
again.
didn't realize it was time to leave?
For the record again, Joseph Rena, the principal site design consultants. On September 5th, Tanto Irrigation submitted a petition for amendment to the current zoning on the site, which you just mentioned. It has no street address, but you mentioned the section, block, and lot number on that. About 10 years ago, the town board changed the zone to transitional zone on this property. And at the time, the setting of the transitional zone set the zoning standards for this particular property. So at that time, there were 2 buildings, so I have the original site plan up right now. 2 buildings on this site were approved. The one on, as you're looking at the sheet, the one on the left or the one to the north, the 2,100 square foot single-story retail building. And the building on the right was approximately 5,400 square feet of retail/office space on the first floor and 5 2-bedroom apartments on the second floor. With that came the parking. Basically, almost the entire site was either building or parking. 2 access points off of Front Street. Actually, 3 access points off of Front Street. So 2 in the central part of the site, 1 serviced the building on the left, the other serviced the building on the right. Driveway for the building on the right went up, as you could see, up around the building and looped back down to a looped plaza area that was on in the town right away, but a license agreement was put in place between the property owner, the current property owner, and the town, Tanto is a contract vendee on the property. So Tanto is they're a large-scale irrigation firm. They're currently in Elmsford, and they're looking to move their full operation to the town of Yorktown. As part of the original approval, the back portion of the property, which butts up to residential development, was to have a 6-foot high stockade fence and vegetative screening, and there was a lighting plan done. It went full boat. I mean, it was a fully approved, and it had DEP approval for all the stormwater aspects of the property. So, with the new use, what Tanto is proposing, is eliminating the building on the left, the 2,100 square foot building, and maintaining the exact footprint of the original 5,400 square foot building. So they're going to run their irrigation operation out of this. It will be the only use in the building. In the new building, the left side of the building, well, let's call it the left cube of the building, is going to be 2 stories on the inside. It'll have an garage door access on the right, and that will be used for maintenance of their equipment and repair as needed. On the same level, on the ground level, on the right, let's call it the right cube of the building, that's going to be used for stocking supplies.
Their
and
hoses,
storage.
their sensors.
As you could see, we eliminated one of the driveway entrances that were in the middle of the site. So now the left side of the site, where the building was originally there in place, the 2,100 square foot building, is now going to be a fenced-in area, and that's where they're going to park their vehicles, park their equipment, and store some of their materials that they need that they can't store on the inside. When you take that central driveway up and you go to the right, the second floor of that building will be all office space that's going to be used for Tanto. And again, that's only going to be on the right cube of the building. The driveway will come back, loop back down around. There's more green space in front of the building now. We've eliminated that loop plaza area, the loop driveway in there. We're providing an access. That's a future access point there. There's some vacant land on the right-hand side, so we're providing a future access point for that property there. There's going to be a curb cut and a little short piece of pavement there, so that property can gain access. The original site plan, we had some pervious pavement as part of the stormwater mitigation plan. That pervious pavement is going to remain in place, and that's these hatched areas here. So that's going to remain the same. So from a stormwater perspective, everything is going to remain the same. We have the same amount of impervious area. This plan doesn't show it because it's on the improvement plan, but there's underground storage and infiltration for the stormwater, and that's all going to remain in place. The DEP SWIP is up to date. Once you, assuming you grant this amendment to the site plan, then we will update all the technical information on the plan, grading and whatnot that needs to be done, and we'll submit that to Dan and I assume planning, and we'll get that all straightened out. And we'll also copy the DEP on it, and so that they're aware that we're making this change, and we're going to amend the SWIP for the DEP. The fenced-in area where the equipment's going to be stored is going to be privacy screening, so you're not going to see on the inside. There'll be some plantings around the outside, which we'll develop a landscape plan for, and we'll detail it at that point. That's all I have on my presentation.
So I have some comments from Town Planning Board, looking for one shared driveway rather than two entrances. I don't know if you addressed that or if it's possible.
That's that spur
All right.
that we're putting in there.
Sorry, I was reading these and sort of tuned you out a little bit.
That's okay.
Trying to catch. I have the Conservation Board. They had questions regarding stormwater and landscaping and are satisfied with the responses, and they recommend the project move forward. In the permit process, you said you already have renewed the SWIP on DEP.
You didn't need to, right?
No, so we need to, so right now we have, the DEP permit is current for the current project. We will submit to them an amended SWIP.
Okay.
As part of, again,
So that'll be done, okay, yep.
Yeah.
Because they're saying the one approved in June 20th is currently expired and needs to be renewed.
That's been renewed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this is just some. And then Westchester County had some comments. I think the ones that are relevant, the site layout. I think they want to make sure noise pollution from the yard would not impact the neighbor residents, and they were proposing shifting the
Material maintenance?
no, the material, the yard materials to the other side where it's farther from the houses. Was that?
I think it's not gonna make any difference, it's gonna be the same.
I was
materials indoors.
Well, no, it's not that. And I was thinking the same because I know the neighborhood there.
Right.
As my mother-in-law lived across the street, and I think 30 years ago my father-in-law owned that property.
Okay.
Well, but sold it during the moratorium. But yeah, the houses are just stacked right
Yeah,
now.
you could see where the houses are on there.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna really make any difference, to be honest with you.
And there was an implication that this was increasing the impervious surface, but
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was going to say it should actually decrease a little bit because you're not going to have the aprons and all that.
What's the equipment going to look like when it's stored outside? All of that stuff.
Well, they have their
Boxes.
transportation vehicles, the trucks and whatnot.
The trucks are one thing, but it's
right,
going to
like
be like
let's say
material.
they're going to have Bobcats. They have I'm forgetting the name of them.
They
now.
might have some culverts back there, depending if they do that. But
Yeah.
most irrigations just have the hoses.
Yeah, no, but they have
Sensors.
like a ditch witch type machine that actually digs the trench and plants the
Yeah,
lines.
but you're going to have like stacks of rolls of hoses, like just, like
there will
like
be
their stock, kind of.
There will be some of that in the yard, yes.
I actually think that the hoses usually they're the black thin hoses, and some of them are perforated. Those actually would probably be on the inside. What we might see are some PVCs and things for like the plumbing parts when they go into the equipment. And if he does have a container, he may, because you're not going to store. Nowadays, sprinkler systems you set them, and if it rains, they have a sensor that tells you, oh, we don't actually have to go off. So I'm not sure if he's going to actually have those on, because normally you buy them based on your clients.
Right.
So most of the equipment's going to be behind the fences?
That's correct. When it's not out at a job site.
Yeah.
It's not there. It's not there. They don't always take it to a job site and then bring it back the same day. It will stay at the job site. Let's say if it's a 1 week job, it'll stay there.
Gotcha.
I'm more concerned. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other thing to mention is all the servicing is going to be done inside. So it's not like they're going to be in the yard
On the trucks.
servicing their equipment and trucks. It's all going to be done, serviced inside.
I'm more concerned about like seeing spools of like wire or hose, whatever
Right.
you want to call it. Yeah, you understand what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah.
if it was an electrical yard, you'd have spools of high tension wires and all of that stuff just like laying around. So, and the houses are above looking down. So
So, again, there's going to be a 6 foot stockade fence across the back. So I should mention there's a retaining wall
Sure.
along the back of the property, right? So the property sits lower than those houses. Above the wall is going to be a 6-foot stockade fence and some
Vegetation. you
some
said.
vegetation, so
Yeah.
it doesn't look horrible to the neighbors, right? It's going to be on their side.
So I see. So the 6-foot fence is going to be on top of
the wall.
How tall is the wall?
It
gotta be
ranges
4
from
feet,
like
right?
2 foot to 6 foot, I think. I don't remember the exact height.
Yeah.
And then as far as the street side goes, there's going to be a chain link fence, and it's going to be slatted or have some kind of privacy material on the fence. So you're not going to be able from the street rather see in to what's
But the
up.
fence isn't going to be covered on top like with slats or anything like that.
No,
It's
it's
gonna-
No.
It's not like a box fence, like like you enter into. It's just going to be open. Like if I look down from the house, I'm going to see all of the stuff.
No, but
It's
you're
going to
gonna
be a
say-
solid fence. It's
just
going to be a solid fence across the back.
So here's,
The back is gonna be
here's the
solid.
property, here's the retaining wall, the fence will actually be on the retaining wall.
Right.
I understand.
So,
But yes, if you're coming from an airplane, you might see something.
So it's really like 10 feet.
Right.
Like-
From,
Average 10
So
feet.
it's
yeah,
a-
from
it's
the
a
line of
6-foot
sight,
fence.
I don't think you're going to see.
well, let's open for public comment, and I will start with the fact that I have, since I know all the neighbors over there, I have spoken to them, and the 3 houses in particular right there, they were very happy about the fact that it's a Monday through Friday business. It's a 9 to or an 8 to 5, I think, or 8 to 6, and that you won't have the apartments and the traffic running through there. Plus, I think they expected a mini market in the original plans. So they seem to be a lot happier with this answer versus what was planned there before, because I know that quite a few came out the last time around to talk about it. Is there anyone for public comment that would like to speak on this?
And I, go ahead.
Come on up, guy.
Yeah, come on right up to the mic, introduce yourself.
Matthew Ross, 1649 Summit Street. How you doing?
How are you?
So my house is actually right behind the structure. So I do have concern about the fence, the retaining wall. You said the fence on top of the retaining wall. What's the heights? What are we looking at height-wise to block out the view? Because the 2 properties are essentially level. I don't have a height differential between me and him other than for my 2nd floor, which is my bedroom, looking out on this.
So I believe you'll be 6 feet off the wall, and that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's like on a level flat of your property, correct?
Right.
So that'll be 6 feet before you get to the stockade, or before you get to the yard, which will also be fenced as well, Joe. So I know, yeah.
Landscaping, you said, along the back?
Yes, they're supposed to be doing some trees and landscape design. Hey, Beth, how are you?
There are a bunch of trees already there. I'm not, I obviously have to knock them down, but there's several tall ones that'll run along the property. Are those being knocked down in place with the new landscaping?
There are some decorative trees or bushes along the back there. Those are going to stay. And the intent is to put the fence up on top of the wall, behind the wall, on the residential side, plant some additional trees or shrubs or bushes or whatever you want to call them through that area, so they're not looking at the back of a fence.
Yeah,
right.
softens
It's
between
going
the
to
trees
soften
and
up
the shrubs.
exactly. It'll soften up that area.
Okay. And
So, and just to add, I think at your property, I think the wall, that's where the wall is the highest. So
you'll have less fence.
It's almost 12 feet then.
because we need to cut that down in order to get the building in there into that corner. So the building's actually going to be sitting lower there, and then you're going to have that the wall's the highest in that corner, and then above that you'll have the 6-foot fence with the screening on there.
And they're going to, you said it's going to be working 8 to 6, or what time do the trucks start turning on to start idling? What are the idling laws here? Am I going to be listening to this at 7 o'clock in the morning while their trucks are warming up?
I don't know if you're even going to have that. I think they get in at 8, and then they'll go off to sites if they have that. So, But I could try to get a little more detail for you, Matt, about the actual operation.
Yeah, because I know that Central Irrigation, they also do turf installation, but they're off in Mohegan Lake. Sometimes the guys, if they know their job routes, they'll take the truck home. They'll pack it the night before, and then you'll only get them to come and drop off and then reset it, because most of the equipment is inside, like those box vans. They have like all the spigots and things that they need for repair, and they want to beat the sun as well, right? Like, if they're working on it. So there might be that as well. So, and if you go to, and this is what I was trying to say to Sergio, if you go to Central, you'll see how organized it is, and it barely looks like anyone's there, because they only go in there, get their routes, and then they leave. Or they might even leave from their own homes.
What about the noise, if you have a garage working on trucks or equipment?
Again, the equipment will be the owner was very clear that all the servicing and running of equipment will be done inside the garage.
So
not out.
we had just to address two of your points. The idling laws, I believe, is 7 minutes or something like that, and the trucks have to be turned off or something like that. 7 minutes comes to mind, but it's a New York State thing, so we could look that up. That's very easy. It's probably, you could Google it and it'll come up. I know we had this problem at Nestle where they were operating inside. And after considerable effort, I spoke to Nestle on behalf of a bunch of residents there, and what they did was they soundproofed the inside of their shop, which mitigated a lot of the noise. And so, would that be a consideration? Because he doesn't want to hear, impact guns when you're taking tires off a car. I think that's your concern, right?
Yes.
Yep. So is that something that you would?
Absolutely, I don't think he would object to that at all.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
I think you also have to ask him. We're obviously in preliminary, but we need to ask Tonto if he services the parts that have the products, like the like almost like what you do in a lawnmower, where you just change the blade, or the actual irrigation piece. It looks like a wheel that actually puts the holes in, so it clips the actual hose in, or if he has an on-site mechanic that works on the physical truck. Because sometimes they don't have the on-site mechanic. That might go to like the auto body or something, but they do work on the parts and the wheels. So I think that's a question for Tonto, what he does on site and what he doesn't do on site.
The other question, John, Mr. Taggart, if you could come up just real quick, because we've been through this a little bit.
Yeah, Beth, come on up.
I just
Please.
wanted to add on Beth Ross,
Hi,
his
Beth.
wife. You're talking about. I'm just like from the main part of my house is the top part. Like I don't think there's a fence high enough. Like I'm gonna see everything from my kitchen window. Like we live, like we're not like, I don't know, you're talking about like, I feel like you're making it seem like our main part of our house is the lower level. The
Your
main
husband
part
just
of
said
our
you guys are level and that your
We're
bedroom
not.
will look down.
No, we are not level. I mean, from the street we are, but when you go into my house, the back part of my house is high. So like I would see everything from my kitchen window, dining room window.
No, I understand that, but I also
Bedroom
wanted to
window.
say that it's a commercial lot, and when you bought the house, you knew that behind it had this commercial lot, so you would have seen.
We've been living here for what, 20?
And it might have been
years
vacant
or
for
whatever.
20 years. But
It's
imagine
been
if it was
woods
but
the whole
imagine
time.
if it was a pioneer.
We weren't told it was like a commercial lot. I think you
Well,
even
Front
said that your
Street-
father-in-law may have owned it like at one point.
But he bought it for commercial purpose.
Right,
I
but
know,
Beth, what I'm just saying is, I hear what you're saying, and there are these areas, but there's also going to be a lot of vacant land, and when there's no trucks in there, you won't see anything. But if it was, let's say, a mini mart or a Pioneer or a small grocery store, you'd be seeing the back of a dumpster or whatever happens in deliveries, because it would have been different. I'm just saying, let's see what Tonto actually has out there. We don't know.
Okay.
So
I hear what you're saying. You're saying you're elevated. And you
We're
can see-
elevated, yeah. From the
Okay.
street, it looks like we're level, but we're not.
I can't imagine that you were level.
Honestly,
So-
Beth,
Yeah.
I think you get Joe. Somehow, you guys take a look, and
it's
if
like
if
our house is the main.
yeah, I totally understand it. But look at there's some give and take and all these. So you go back there and you see you have the retaining wall, 6 feet. Does that satisfy it? No. There's maybe 8 feet does.
Maybe you need some arborvitae
Who
that
knows?
grow really big.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a big greenery thing, and that's fine.
I've got
you know
some
what I
great
mean?
arborvitae
Right
that
now,
grow
I'm
like
looking
weeds.
at woods, and I'd like to kind of still look at woods.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
somewhere along the line, they're not. This isn't etched in stone.
There's
I'm
like
sure they're going to
arborvitaes and
work with you.
willows
So
that need water, and they grow really fast. They're
So
hybrids.
And I know I
Continue
feel like
to-
the property isn't really that deep, so it's feeling like it's going to be like right on top of us, kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Right
we,
now.
we can walk that through.
Okay.
So
All right,
Joe-
I would.
so Joe-
sorry, go ahead, Sergio. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would-
I've been waiting.
I would just like to clarify a process issue. This is unusual in that because this is a transitional zone, the town board will vote and approve the site plan. Normally, it would be a planning board issue. So I want to make sure, since there have been multiple issues that have been raised, about this from your property, there's also lighting, which is concerning me. Sergio, you brought up the noise issue, the fencing issue, the appearance of the fencing, multiple issues. These are things that the planning board normally looks at in detail. And I just want to make sure that this will be referred to the planning board for its usual in-depth review, and that when they are satisfied with everything from landscaping on down, then it will come to the town board. Now, unfortunately, because this is not a planning board issue, they're not required to hold a public hearing on it, where at a public hearing, you could make your comments. So this is an issue for John, as the planning director, to respond to, that typically at a planning board work session, you would not be able to speak. You could send them comments, but you couldn't be able to comment like you're doing tonight, which is less than desirable, because that's where the real work on this site plan will be. By the time it gets to the town board to vote, they will typically not necessarily agree to everything the planning board said, but it's pretty much all of these nitty-gritty things will have been ironed out. So I'm just concerned that at the planning board, possibly they could waive their regulations and allow you to provide, you and any other resident, to provide the input that would be needed.
Matt,
I just wanna-
okay, go on. No, I was going to just give them some. Go.
You want to go? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as we get this stuff through, I'm more than happy to come knock on your door, or when you walk in Gracie by the house, and you see me, just stop me. It will get referred out. We always have a referral process, and they'll look at it. We know there was already a site plan there, so they've already looked at the site. What we're doing now is just reducing a building, which is going to be less traffic, less lighting, less noise. And I know we spoke about it when all this started. Apparently some other issues have come up, which is great. Pia Wade, I spoke with them as well, and, it's there. And I know the concern, because you're right across from UPS as well. And there's light, there's noise, the bus depot down the road, the light there is horrendous coming up Mosman.
Maybe all those trees will help.
So there's definitely concern there to begin with, just from what's there. It is a commercial lot, but I do appreciate the fact, actually it's light industrial, and I do appreciate the fact that our planning board has already taken a deep dive into this. So it's not that hard for them as professionals to say, here are the changes, what are the cause and effects, and what can we do? And John, as you look through it, please let me know. And like I said, I'm more than happy to share any concerns coming up as it's going back and forth with the applicant.
And honestly, I think Joe is taking mental notes. He's going to answer it 2 for 2.
Always.
But he's already said that he's willing to do the inside of the building, the height.
Serge,
Yeah.
go
All
on.
right, go ahead. Susan?
Everybody good? Okay.
So,
Sorry, what was your first name again? I'm sorry.
Matt.
Matthew, I'm concerned about the sound. Okay? And so, guys, excuse me? Just a question? Yeah, that's finally my turn. The wall, the fence that we're talking about that's going on top of the wall, right? What's the distance of the fence, linear? Like, I know it's 6 feet high, but what is it, 10 feet, 15 feet, 100,000, 59 million feet?
Well, it's across the whole back of the property.
What's the whole back of the property?
I don't know if I could.
Okay. Because my concern is what one of the issues that we had with Nestle Waters is there's no real sound barrier. So instead of putting up a chain link fence or whatever it is it possible? And you can speak to it with John Tegeter about it. There are certain materials that we can use that are inexpensive, but that provide soundproofing. The fence itself. So that 6-foot fence could provide a considerable amount of soundproofing, which would probably solve a lot of their sound problems from everything else surrounding from the UPS truck as well. But it will certainly insulate them from hearing the trucks in the morning. There's not much you're going to be able to see. If you're looking down, you're going to be able to see some stuff. There's some stuff there already. But if that fence could be, instead of just a plain chain link fence, we invest a little more money and we put something that provides a sound barrier. Then I think we're going down a good path for these people that are going to be living right behind it. And I know it's a light industrial, but that doesn't mean we can't take proper steps now before it gets built.
But does that even work, the sound barrier?
Of course it does.
Because at the end of the day, if there's what you really want is inside, we need to understand what kind of work they're doing.
Right.
So I'd like John to.
So just so you know, it's 350 feet.
Okay.
350 feet. It's going to be solid fencing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be chain link with slats in it. It's going to be a solid material fence.
Like what?
I'm not sure. I don't want to commit to something that I don't know 100%.
I'm just saying
but it's going to be solid fencing.
If we get something there instead of something that provides soundproofing, that's rated for soundproofing. That's a fence and they make a lot of materials that look great. And I know John went over it. We've been on extensively dealing with the problem. Not really a problem, but the issue at Nestle Waters because they have idling trucks. And all of these things are ringing a bell here for me, and they're sending off flags. So, can you look into something like that and provide some more soundproofing? So this way you have the soundproofing inside where they're running their air tools, because there's going to be a compressor. They're working on trucks. There's going to be a compressor. There's going to be air tools. I used to be an auto body mechanic, so I know what that's like. And then outside, if that wall, you already have a solid wall, right? That's the wall that's existing there. The fence on top is soundproofed, or some material that provides additional layer of soundproofing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the trees. I think they'll have a peaceful existence.
Okay.
As long as they're their own mechanics. If they're not their own mechanics, they're not working on their big trucks.
Right.
Half of them are box vans.
I think you've got the message of what the planning board has to deal with when they go through all of these details. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we'd be asking for the board to do the amendment and then allow us to move on to the next stage, which would be putting the technical drawings together, getting that information together, deal with the fencing, the plantings, so on and so forth, which we could do between engineering and planning.
No, I don't think we should amend the site plan until it's gone through the planning board and we're satisfied that all of these concerns have been satisfactorily addressed. And we see a plan that addresses these issues, and then we're saying, okay, now we'll amend the plan. Yeah, we have to get you have to address all of these issues first before you ask us to amend the plan.
We're not amending the plan. I asked you to amend the zone to allow us to proceed with the plan.
Right. Well, you're asking
John.
I think the plan and the status and all the conditions have to be satisfied first, and then it will be a routine issue to amend the plan to say this is the revised
But
plan.
if they don't have us allow them to do it, why would they do all the work to try to fit it in?
Mr. Tegeter.
Yeah. So, first of all, you guys are the approval authority on this, as you know, right? Okay, so we're all clear. The most typical way that a lot of this happens is you do your amending resolutions, whatever they may be, with conditions
Of approving.
that these folks have to do some work to come back, and once it reaches a satisfactory stage to staff and then to you, you are ready to sign those plans as the set of plans that is represented by the approval. So between that time and the signing of the plan, you have all of the time in the world for you to become satisfied with what you're asking them to do.
Right.
So that's the most typical way that the planning board does it. And those conditions can take a wide range from some of the most minor things to provide for instance, a landscape plan. Which
So when would we set those conditions?
if you
In the
want to move to a
resolution.
resolution, those conditions would be in the resolution. So I would say some of the things I heard here tonight, I didn't really talk at length with Joe, but provide a lighting plan, provide a landscaping plan, talk about soundproofing and
Screening.
also screening. I know that the former plan, in terms of the screening, did have screening on it, and I think that should be revisited. I don't know what detail that they have yet. I don't think they have, but these folks have brought up an issue about their visual impacts and sound impacts. The visual impacts, I think, are important, notwithstanding that they moved to a place that was next to the light industrial site. It was undeveloped, and now that it's being developed, I think that there should be an effort to mitigate that impact, which is coming. It's not there yet. It's coming.
I'm with you.
But John, typically when a site plan is signed, all right, you have the lighting plan, you have the landscaping plan,
Yeah,
you
you will.
have all of that done. You know what materials you're using for your fence.
You will have that.
No, what you're saying is amend it and then amend the
With
plan,
these-
vote
with these
to amend.
conditions.
But we're not seeing all of that. And I'm saying your typical procedure is, all right, that you have all of these details first. The
typical
transitional
procedure-
zone is an anomaly.
I understand what you're saying. The
And I
typical
think that
procedure can
that's-
go both ways on that. I understand what you're saying. There are cases in which we see a landscaping plan, we'll see a lighting plan, and we talk about it quite a bit. And then the conditions, as I said before, are more minor in nature. But there has been plenty of cases in which we say, okay, you need to address this issue in a landscaping plan. You need to provide a lighting plan. You need to finish your SWIP with DEP and come back. And that happens before the site plans are signed. So it can happen either way. My point is that once you do the resolution, you will still remain in control of what happens to this development. That's my point.
Matt and
I
Beth,
disagree
did
with
you-
that process.
Matt and Beth, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
It's just eating at me because I can't understand what the picture I'm looking at.
Beth, stand up to the mic.
I'm sorry,
That's
that
okay.
opening right there, that it's like I see the thing that says retaining wall and then it's pointing to an arrow where it says curb, but it looks like it's open to my backyard. Can you explain that to me?
That's the original plan. That's not the current plan.
Okay,
That's the old plan.
this is just what the picture is showing.
Right.
so I
That's the currently approved plan. The new plan is the wall's going all the way across.
Okay.
Great.
So, and just I've done two of the I think only 3 transitional zones were done in the town. I think I've done 2 of them, and of the 2, the town board on a site plan as basic as what we did placed the transitional zone on the property and sent it to the planning board to work out the details. That's how this was done. That's how the Wyant was done. So it would not be any different for you to do an amendment, and then we take care of the details with staff and, if need be, to the planning board.
Sorry. I can think of the transitional zone, which you didn't mention, so you didn't do, where some of the conditions of the site plan have not even been complied with. All right.
So Beth, I think the hole in the wall that you're seeing there, that's if someone came in and bought it today and didn't do anything to it, that's where it would stay. So what they're doing, that's the original from X amount of years ago, don't know. But this new one is going to come through with a retaining wall. The retaining wall's all the way through, and then they're going to go up on top of that. So your concerns for Matt and you, they're being heard, and Mr. Arena is going to address them. And throughout the whole time, if you have any questions, you can go to Ed, and Ed can get to Joe and get you answers.
All right. We have someone else who wanted to speak from the audience.
Jay Kopstein. It appears to me that this project is less invasive than what's already approved and on paper. So my caution is, if we nitpick it to death, you may wind up with something a lot worse.
That's true.
Agreed. I think that the way it's been handled is probably the best to keep along with that, because they're quite aware of the situation. Matt, did you have anything else you guys want? Beth, you feel a little more comfortable with that? Okay, so when we get the revised plan, we'll make sure you get a good look at it, and I'll make sure Wade and Pia see it as well. Did anyone else want to speak from the public? Okay, well, did you want to say something else? Okay, make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All right, and
You want to vote?
yeah, I'd like to vote. I'd like to. I'd like to ask for a motion to amend the site plan and send it out.
You didn't close the. We didn't have a vote to close the hearing.
I made the motion, he seconded
There
it.
was no vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. All right.
Joe, the buzzword for me is soundproofing. That's, okay. So-
All right.
You got it.
So make a
Easy
motion
enough.
to amend the site plan.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. I feel that I want to see the plans first.
Okay. All right, we are going to move on to resolutions. From the Building Department, authorize the comptroller release to Underhill Soundview LLC the remaining balance of $2,654.92 for professional consultant Labella Associates to review the condominium building. From the Central Garage, authorize the Central Garage to scrap at Brookfield Resource Management the below-listed vehicle deemed obsolete and no longer used for public use.
Want to skip the next one? That's the public
Okay.
hearing. I have comments on that.
All right, set the public hearing date to consider amending Chapter 321C3 of the Code of the Town of Yorktown by deleting Section 321C3A2G.
I'm sorry. Do you want to?
And-
You want to?
You want to skip both of them?
It's the hearing for the recreation ones.
Which one?
Why don't you?
Yeah.
You want to skip over that?
Yeah, because typically we do several resolutions and have one vote. I will have some comments on that one, so that's why I want
All
to
right, approved town board meeting scheduled for November 25th, 2025. As we run into Election Day and Veterans Day in the month of November, we wanted to add that fourth Tuesday for a meeting.
Do you want that at 7:30 or 6:30 if you're going to have an executive session?
That meeting was already scheduled in the organizational meeting. It's just a reminder that we're having it since the last Tuesday of the month, so it is at 7:30.
Set public hearing date to consider a proposed local law to amend Chapter 300A14 entitled Solar Power.
I'd like that one also separated.
Okay, set public hearing date to consider the application of John Borelli, Pan Bar Realty, for tree and stormwater permits for a project located at 3370 Hollywood Street. From the engineering department, authorize the comptroller to release erosion control bond to Paul and Elena Davis, LLC, in the amount of $500. Authorize the comptroller to release erosion control bond to Mr. Dominic DeBrino in the amount of $500. From the John C. Hart Memorial Library, authorize librarian Colin Russell to attend the New York State Library Association Conference between November 5th and 8th, 2025. And then in an amount not to exceed $1,500. From the police department, authorize a supervisor to enter into the Stop DWI Patrol Project intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County, and authorize a supervisor to enter into a firing range intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County. And from the receiver of taxes, authorize the comptroller to refund the below listed amounts due to duplicate 2025-26 first half school tax payments, and as enumerated below.
And are we going to have an additional resolution on an RFP for the affordable housing?
I haven't seen it come across yet. Adam, did you get that out to Diana?
We don't have it yet.
The RFP.
No.
Okay.
We talked about doing it tomorrow.
Yep.
Oh,
Tomorrow.
okay.
No,
No, time out. Resolution?
The
Or the
resolution.
RFP? Well, the resolution is just authorize town clerk to advertise a request for proposal.
Yeah, to
for,
advertise.
yeah, for,
Yeah,
I mean, you could
yeah.
just read, you could just make the motion.
Yeah, the resolution would be to advertise an RFP to seek services for
Affordable housing.
for the affordable housing program.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Adam, if we get that RFP over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
On the setting of the public hearing for changes to the recreation fee law, when the board first referred that out, I had
well,
several.
can we start with the first one, the beverage container that you stopped me on?
No, that one I thought you.
No, you stopped
you
it.
stopped
Oh,
me
I'm
on it.
sorry. I misread.
So it's
Okay.
All right,
open
so I'll read that one from set public hearing date to consider amending Chapter 300 of the Code of Town of Yorktown entitled Zoning to add Beverage Container Redemption Center as a definition.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Susan, comments on setting a public hearing date for the recreational fee?
I think the
I'm
public.
sorry, I was a no on that. I'm
Okay.
a no on that.
You're
Which one?
The
Beverage.
setting a public hearing? Because it's just a public hearing. It's not the actual addition of it.
Page 3.
all right, yeah, I'll say I'll vote yes. Fine. It's fine. Let's get the public hearing over with.
I think the setting a public hearing on the recreation law on November 15th is premature. When the board first proposed that and voted to refer it out, I voted against that. I have submitted a very substantive, lengthy memo to the board with issues that I think need to be changed, which I suggest to be changed in that law. Now, I know I could make those comments at the time of the public hearing. If I do, two things can happen. One, they're either totally ignored, all right, or the second option would be, yes, Susan, I agree with one or two or three or whatever changes that you want to make, and we have to go revise the law, and it will be a totally different law, and then we'd have to have the public hearing again, because it would be a very different law. So what I would like to do is on November 18th, have a discussion about whether you agree with any of the changes that I am suggesting. Right? It doesn't have to be referred out again, and then we set the public hearing. Whether there's a date in December, I don't know if that would be appropriate or not, but that would be my suggestion.
So
Because
you want us to respond to your email and let you know if which points we agree with and which points we do not agree with?
well, I haven't gotten any feedback to that, and I sent it maybe about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is,
you have expressed it, but you want it in writing. So you want us to write yes, no, this is the explanation, and send it to you?
well, I think there should be a public discussion.
Well, public discussion is fine. I think we've been doing that. I just
No,
I don't
there
want to get
hasn't-
homework
there-
from
I-
you. That's
I
it.
think
There
this
hasn't
is-
been.
Don't speak. She had the floor. Let's
No,
just be
I'm just-
courteous.
Okay,
I'm being courteous. I'm
Let's
just
let's keep
reacting.
it calm and professional, please.
So on the 18th, you'll bring your comments, and then you'll ask us if we are in agreement with you. Isn't that what the public hearing is going to be?
Yeah, okay.
And more importantly, the comments of the public, which will influence. I don't know how we already have all the comments, because a public hearing, we're supposed to have comments already from our perspective. Then we have a public hearing and we hear what they have to say. And then together we tweak them or we understand them and we hear, because maybe their needs are different from our needs.
With all due respect, the amendments to and the language of revising the recreation fee law is highly technical, and I doubt that it would be something that the public would talk about. They might say, yes, we need to revise the recreation fee law. If the members of the
That's not fair.
recreation
That's
fee
not
Excuse
fair.
me,
say
excuse
that.
me, Susan.
100%.
It is
Thank
all
you.
about public comment. I would like to make a motion to refer this out for public comment. That is insulting to the people sitting in this room that come every week, that have great comments and help guide us. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
This was already,
We didn't vote on it.
No, we didn't vote on it.
right, but we're setting the public hearing, we're not.
That's all we're doing.
No, that's
Right.
what you
I'm
meant.
sorry.
Sorry,
It's
you
a
meant like
motion
you want the
for
motion on
public
it.
hearing. Yeah, I'm sorry. A motion for public hearing. Sorry,
I'll make
thank
that
you.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Sorry,
Okay, I'm opposed.
I do
yeah.
not like your.
I just
your
don't think
Good.
it's ready for a
That,
public
that's
hearing.
fine.
That's
And I
fine.
think that public
Your
hearing
opinion.
means get the public's comment.
talking to my
Not only
And
that,
I think-
we were
Hurry up
talking
and take
about-
your time.
One more.
It's very interesting that the planning board. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All
I
right.
apologize.
Not only that, I was, you know, we were all fired up to get this done, and now we're trying to delay it more. So I don't know. So
All right.
I don't understand the.
I'd like to
the
set,
up and down.
I'd like to set a public hearing date to consider proposed local law to amend Chapter 381.4 entitled Solar Power Generation Systems and Facilities.
And the reason why I would like to postpone this is that this is a highly, as I think we know, a highly controversial issue in the community. We haven't, I think the public hearing ended in May, so we haven't exactly been very expeditious about dealing with this. And given the controversy surrounding this issue, I honestly would like to wait until after Election Day and have whatever that board is that's elected. We could be the same 5 people.
Sorry, Susan, we
could
don't,
be
we do
different
not,
people,
we
but I don't
do
think
not
it's fair
stall
to
the
lo-
town for an election.
We have
Can I have,
waited-
can I have a motion? Yes, we have waited way too
Second.
long. You're absolutely right.
We have
All
to
in
get stuff
favor?
done.
Aye.
Aye.
It's been dragging
Nay.
on way too long.
Aye.
Thank you.
He's
Aye,
saying it wasn't
aye.
expeditious, and he wanted to delay it to January.
Because
If
maybe
you've
the
waited
board won't go
if
the
you've
way she
waited
wants it
6
to be.
months, you can wait 2 more months and have it.
But you're almost saying that so that
Wait 2 months.
whatever board will
Alright.
be here, they'll
Wait
be
2
in a,
months.
they'll be more cooperative to what you want.
No, not what I want. It's what
Well, I
the
don't know.
majority
I'm
of,
sorry.
of the board.
Please,
That's what I hear.
excuse me, ladies and
Let's adjourn
gentlemen.
the meeting.
We
Come on.
we are elected, and our term ends December 31st. And if we get reelected, great. If we do not, we still work until December 31st.
No matter what.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Happy New Year, guys.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Good night, Yorktown.
Good night.